रुपए में उसी में सामान थोड़ी काटना था। देखिए कुछ कौन सा स्टार्टिंग का बटन
Okay, sir. So now we are live. So now we can start the session, sir.
Okay.
Please, sir, start.
Good evening. Now, should I start now? Okay. Good evening. Today I'm going to talk on implication of the pandemic on asthma COPD patients. I am Dr. Rajendra Nanavare. I am a chest physician. Let's start. Now, initially we'll talk about the physiology. How the normal functioning of the respiratory system occurs. Now you see the anatomy. It's showing nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, and then the lungs and the alveoli. Now this from nose to bronchi, this is the air transmitting, and the alveoli where the air exchange takes place between blood and the alveoli. Now let's start with what is the alveoli. Now see, it's like a grape, which is situated inside the lungs, and they are more than millions. So these are the things where the oxygen exchange occur, oxygen and carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide come out, and oxygen goes into the blood. Now this is a lung structure, which is showing the lung where the exchange occurs, and when the from air to blood, how the exchange occurs. Now we are in a pandemic of COVID-19. You must be knowing, and since last year, now this is the second year, we are having a lot of problem. It is a catastrophic. So I am going to give the reference of COVID-19 to the patients of asthma and COPD. Next. Now this is the protection. It's very important. One of the most important thing, because you have to prevent from getting infection. So this is a mask. Now there was a news in Times of India in August 27 that mask for COVID may end up eliminating TB by 2025. That is the target set by Indian government for the elimination of tuberculosis. But because of COVID, we have started using masks, and it will help to eliminate TB also. So let's hope for the good. Now, what is the asthma? Now, it affects all the age group in all part of the world. The airway are persistently inflamed, causing wheezing and shortness of breath with chestness and cough. There are 4 signs: shortness of breath, chest pain, chest tightness, and cough. Common trigger for asthma: allergies, infection. Most common is the viral infection and pollution. The incidence of asthma is increasing due to change in the lifestyle and increasing pollution, smoking, and urbanization also. Early diagnosis, regular treatment, and allergen avoidance give good symptom to control and improve the quality of life. Now, this is a chronic disease. This is a incurable, because you have to control, like hypertension, diabetes. This is also remains for a long time, but we have to control. Now this is a way the medication is given. It's a meter dose inhaler. When you get an injury in your eye, you put a drop. When you get an injury in a ear, you put a ear drops. So this is a way we can put a medicine inside the lung, and it's a economical, and dose is less. Everything is good by this way of giving a medicine. Now these are the normal airway and the inflamed airway. Normal airway, a narrow airway where limited airflow, the muscle are tightened, there is a inflammation in the airway. So first on a left side you see airway cross section, which is normal, and next we show thickened airway wall, which contain mucus and muscle which are thickened. Next. Now this is a relaxed or normal airway on the left side, and right side it is a asthmatic lung, where the muscle is tightened, there is a remolding also, and there is a excessive mucus also, swelling lining. Now what are the triggers? There are a lot of trigger. One of the most common trigger is the stress. Pets, exercise, pollen. Pollen is also most common. Bugs in the home, chemical fumes, cold air, fungus, dust. House dust is one of the most common. Smoking, strong odor, and pollution. Asthma cannot be cured, but it can be well controlled. Inhaled therapy is the ideal therapy of asthma. Both preventer and reliever drugs should be given properly. There are two types of drugs. One is a preventer and other is a reliever. So both drugs should be given properly. Previously, there was only drug we are giving, but now it has been told by the GINA guideline. It should be given both at a time. And patient education, which is a very much important or central to the asthma management, because unless and until patient is not educated properly, he will not take medicine properly, and he will not get a relief properly. Physician must explain proper technique of inhalation and cross check. There are lot of studies showing the patients are not taking inhalation uh, drug properly. So every now and then we should teach them how to inhale the medicine. Asthma exacerbation and COVID-19 are difficult to differentiate clinically. The most common presentation of COVID-19 is a dry cough and shortness of breath, are also common with acute exacerbation of asthma. But fever is the most commonly associated with COVID-19, but also be present with any infection triggered exacerbation of asthma. See, normally the patient is asthma patient is at a normal, but when he get exacerbation, he get more cough, he get breathlessness. This condition we have to differentiate from COVID-19, because COVID-19 is a viral infection and fever is the most common in a COVID-19 initial stages. So, if you know how to differentiate between the exacerbation of asthma and COVID in an asthma patient. One case I have seen, they asked me on a phone that old lady, she is asthmatic, but where to admit, because they don't know whether she is a COVID positive or not. And the second wave has done a lot of things which are different from the first wave, which I am going to talk after this. But uh, this patient was RT-PCR for COVID was negative, and it was difficult whether she is having a expiration of asthma or she has got a COVID infection in asthma. So that was difficult. And when they realized that after doing twice of RT-PCR, they shifted that patient to non-COVID ward, and but could not also present with INHA. Screening protocol for COVID-19 should be applied to anyone having a worsening risk. Any patient who is asthmatic and whose symptoms worsening, they should be screened for COVID-19, including those with asthma in view of varied clinical presentation of asthma. Varied clinical presentation means now the patient is presenting differently. In a second wave, the patients are differently presenting. Sometimes they present as a GIT infection, sometimes they present as a, it is a totally different. Now it becomes very difficult task for the healthcare worker or a doctors to diagnose COVID-19 easily. The management of asthma. Asthma advise patient with asthma to continue taking their prescribed asthma medication. That is particularly inhaled corticosteroid and oral corticosteroid. If prescribed, suppose if it is prescribed already, then you have to take the prescribed drug and you should not taper it or stop it because and a patient will deteriorate. So you have to continue with that. Stopping ICS, that is inhaled corticosteroid, often lead to potentially dangerous worsening of asthma. That is very important. Make sure that all the patient have a written asthma action plan. That is the most important thing of the asthma, with instruction about increasing controller and reliever medicine when asthma worsen. Means you have to increase the control and reliever medicine as per requirement. Taking a short course of oral corticosteroid for severe asthma examination. Now it's our nebulization is a aerosol generating procedure. So avoid nebulizer where possible. Nebulizer increase the risk of disseminating virus to other patients and to healthcare professionals. So nebulizer should be avoided. Pressurized MDI virus pressure is a preferred treatment during severe exhaustion, and a mouthpiece or tightly fitted face mouth if required. Avoid spirometry in patients with confirmed or suspected COVID-19. Spirometry can disseminate the viral particles and expose staff and patients to the risk of infection. While community transmission of the virus is occurring in our region, postpone spirometry and peak flow measurement with healthcare facility within healthcare facility unless there is an urgent. Means you should not do spirometry or peak flow meter in the pandemic or where there is a transmission is occurring. Follow strict infection control practices if aerosol generating procedure are needed. Now, how will you define COPD? It is a common, preventable, and treatable disease, and is characterized by persistent, means continuous airflow limitation. That is usually it is a progressive, and it is associated with enhanced chronic inflammatory response in the airway and the lung to the noxious particle or gases. Now these are the healthy bronchioles and alveoli. Now in COPD, they become thick, narrow bronchiole with excessive mucus, and there is a destruction of the alveolar wall. This condition is called as emphysema. Now you see the trachea, right lung, bronchus, normal bronchi, and bronchi in the COPD. Bronchioles in the COPD. Now the you see bronchioles, they are bulged, means they are hyperinflated. Now COPD is a condition in which you get a chronic bronchitis and emphysema, and most probably could be asthma also. Now COPD includes bronchitis and emphysema. And this is a picture showing a healthy bronchi and inflammation excessive, which is a chronic bronchitis. Means it is a inflammation of the bronchitis, and emphysema is a destruction of the alveoli. Now define as a bronchitis as a chronic productive cough for 3 months in each of 2 successive years, means 2 continuous years in a patient Other causes of chronic cough have been excluded. Emphysema are permanent, abnormal, permanent enlargement of the air spaces distal to the terminal bronchial that is accompanied by restriction of the air spaces wall without obvious fibrosis. There is no fibrosis as such. Now the pathology. You see, the normal alveoli are well structured, and if you see the lung with COPD, they are destroyed. Their walls are destroyed. They are hyperinflated, and lungs are from bronchi to the alveoli are totally destroyed. They are not in a proper shape. There will be airway will be there is a chronic inflammation. There is increased number of goblet cell because we get a mucus gland hyperplasia, fibrosis, narrow and reduction in the number of small airway collapse due to loss of teetering caused by alveolar wall dissection in emphysema. Chronic obstructive chronic bronchitis and emphysema. This is a picture which is showing the what happened in bronchitis and what happened in emphysema. The lung parenchyma. Emphysema affect the structure distal to the terminal bronchi, consist of respiratory bronchial, alveolar duct, alveolar sac, and alveolar. They are collectively known as acinus. These are the gas exchanging part of the lung. Somebody is raising a hand. What is this? Can I ask? Okay. This is a normal
No,
estimate.
sir, it's just a sign of high. The attendance bill says you the high.
What I? What?
Nothing, sir. Nothing, sir. You can please continue, sir.
Okay, I will continue. Now this
Yeah.
is a normal acine, the bronchial, terminal bronchial, then the respiratory bronchial, and the alveolar duct. This is what happened in the emphysema, which bulge out and becomes hyperinflated. The risk factor for the COPD. One of the most common is a cigarette smoke. Then the occupational dust and chemical, environmental tobacco smoke, indoor and outdoor air pollution. Gene is one of the cause, infection and socio-economic status. Most of them are aging population. What is the genetic cause? Alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency is a genetic condition that is responsible for about 2% of cases of COPD. In this condition, the body does not make enough of protein, that is alpha-1 antitrypsin. And alpha-1 antitrypsin protect the lung from damage caused by protease enzyme, such as elastase and trypsin, that can be released as a result of inflammatory response to tobacco smoke. So, alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency is a genetic disorder, and it is seen. The COPD is seen in a younger patient. Symptoms are COPD are chronic and progressive dyspnea, that is the breathlessness, cough and sputum production that can be variable from day to day. Dyspnea can be progressive, it can be persistent, and characteristically worse with exercise, because once a person does some exercise, walking or climbing, the dyspnea becomes very bad. There is a chronic cough which may be intermittent or unproductive, and a chronic sputum production. COPD patient commonly cough up sputum. Clinical feature, there is a wheezing, there is a chest tightness, weight loss, and a respiratory infection. Physical sign. This is the most important sign. If you inspect the person, if you remove his clothes and tell him to stand, the chest become barrel shaped. There is a accessory muscle are seen more prominent, and prolonged expiration during quiet breathing. Means he is not able to. It's not a passive and very short. It's a prolonged and expiration through forced sleep. Means there is a movement of the lip and paradoxical retraction of the lower intercostal during inspiration. That is called a Hoover's sign, and a tripod position. The person sits in a tripod position. See, this on the left side is the normal chest, and the right side it is a barrel shape. So when you see the barrel shape, you see that the AP diameter is increased than the transverse diameter. How will you diagnose COPD? On symptom and exposure to risk factor. Symptom are shortness of breath, chronic cough, sputum, tobacco, occupation, indoor, outdoor pollution, and you confirm the diagnosis by spirometry. Spirometry is required to establish the diagnosis. This is a pattern of the spirometry in which there is an obstructive, restrictive, and mixed ventilatory function. Obstructive, obstructive disease and restrictive disease are obstructive disease are asthma, and restrictive disease is COPD. So normal it is showing an abnormal institution. The presence of post bronchodilator FV1 upon FVC, if it is less than 70%, confirm the presence of persistent airflow limitation and thus of COPD. See, uh, if it reversible post bronchodilator means after first you do it and again you do it, and if it is reversal we call it the reversible, and it could be a asthma. Now in COPD there is no reversible or mild reversible. This is a X-ray of chronic bronchitis. Uh, Initially, no apparent abnormality is seen, or thickened or increased lung marking are noted. In emphysema, there are a lot of changes. Mark over inflammation is noted with flattened and low diaphragm. Intercostal space become widened. Horizontal pattern of rib. Long thin, that is a teardrop heart, and decreased marking of the lung peripheral vessel. This I will show you in X-ray. This is the X-ray. Now you see the teardrop heart. Intercostal space are increased. Diaphragm is low. So these are the sign of emphysema. This is CT, where it is very sensitive compared to X-ray, and specific also. You see that there is a bulla in the lung parenchyma, and it is called a bullous disease. That is emphysema. Lab examination, blood examination, examination or acute infection in airway. There is increased leukocyte may be detected. Sputum shows streptococcal pneumonia, Haemophilus in Klebsiella pneumonia. These are the organisms most commonly affected. Based on the principle of management is prevent of further progression of a disease, preservation and enhancement of pulmonary function capacity, avoidance of exacerbation in order to improve the quality of life. So you have to avoid the exacerbation and you have to improve the lifestyle. One is a bronchodilator. Bronchodilator are central to the symptomatic management of COPD. Improve emptying of the lung, reduce dynamic hyperinflation, and improve exercise performance. There are three major classes of the bronchodilator. Beta 2 agonists are short acting, long acting. Short acting is salbutamol and terbutaline, and long acting is cemetrol and formoterol. Anticholinergic are tropamine is short acting and tritropine is a long acting. And theophylline is a weak bronchodilator which may have some anti-inflammatory property. When the patient is not responding, we give theophylline as a last. Next, a glucocorticoid. Regular treatment with inhaled glucocorticoid is appropriate for symptomatic patient with an FEV1 less than 50% predicted and repeated exacerbation. Chronic treatment with systemic glucocorticoids should be avoided because of unfavorable benefit to risk ratio. So, giving inhaled corticosteroid is good rather than giving a oral. Oral in an exacerbation or where the condition is not improving for a short period can be given. Combination therapy. Combination of long-acting beta-2 agonist and inhaled corticosteroid show a significant additional effect on pulmonary function and a reduction in symptoms, mainly in patients with a forced expiratory volume less than 50% predicted. Other are antioxidant, mucolytic. These are the phosphodiester 4 inhibitors. Uh, Other pharmacologically, influenza vaccine can reduce serious illness. Influenza polysaccharide vaccine is recommended for COPD patients 65 years or older, and for COPD patients younger than 65 years with an FEV1, that is forced expiratory volume 1, less than 40% predicted. Use of antibiotic other than for treating infection, exacerbation of COPD and other bacterial infections is currently not indicated. Next, oxygen therapy. Oxygen, uh, 15 hours a day can be given. Long-term oxygen therapy, that is LTOT, improves survival, exercise, sleep, and cognitive. It's remembering cognitive performance in the patient with respiratory failure. Therapeutic goal is to maintain SOO2 more than 90% and POO2 more than 60 mmHg at the sea level or rest. Other treatment are pulmonary rehabilitation, nutrition, surgery in a where there is a bulla or bulectomy is done, lung volume reduction surgery, and lung transplant. Important part of this is a smoking cessation. Smoking cessation has a great capacity to influence the natural history of COPD. Pharmacotherapy and nicotine replacement reliably increase long-term smoking abstinence rate. Complications are pneumothorax, cor pulmonale, in which right side of the heart failure occurs, exacerbation of COPD, and respiratory failure. Morbidity are it increases risk for cardiovascular disease, osteoporosis, respiratory infection, anxiety and depression, diabetes, lung cancer, and bronchitis. Asthma, COPD, overlap syndrome. Now, in asthmatic patient also we get a COPD. It is characterized by persistent airflow limitation with several features usually associated with asthma and several features usually associated with COPD. So, it is called ACOS. Is therefore identified in clinical practice by features that it shares with both asthma and COPD. This is seen in a chronic or long uncontrolled asthmatic patient. Now I'll talk about the COVID pandemic. COVID-19 pandemic has put the patient with COPD and other comorbid at a higher risk for poor outcome, as noted by the US Center for CDC. Smoker and those with COPD have a higher risk of severe. Those are smoker and COPD had a higher risk of severe COVID-19 pneumonia than the rest of the population. Precaution for asthma COPD in a COVID pandemic. What precautions should be taken? Wash your hand frequently. Avoid touching. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Avoid eating raw meat and unnecessary contact with wild animals. Thoroughly cook meat and egg. Avoid close contact with anyone like with the flu-like syndrome. If you develop fever, cough, or difficulty breathing, seek medical advice early. Take particular precaution while traveling. I will skip the tuberculosis because now I will go for a second break. We have started late, so I cannot complete all this thing. These are the patients where the CT scan finding are seen. Initially, it is a ground glass opacity. Then it become crazy paving pattern, that is the ground glass opacity with superimposed inter and intralobular septal thickening. And last one is a consolidation with air bronch. Consolidation means a pneumonia. This is a patient who was admitted in the hospital and who was on a ventilator. Listen, Sharma, Manish, can you put the second one? Manish, Manish Sharma, COVID second. Now, I have not means the slides are not proper, but I will complete it anyway. Uh, as you know, that COVID has entered the next calendar year. So far, there have been a lot of confirmed cases. In India, it has crossed 1,50,000, 1,66,000 deaths. And with report of increasing positive cases, it seems that COVID has hit the second wave. So the surge has been attributed as much to the laxity among the people towards the compliance with COVID protective protocol, as also with the more transmissible variant arising. So the new variant has arisen, that is called UK variant, and which is more transmissible, more than the initial one, which is 70% more than the. I could not read it all this thing because something. There are three variants of concern have been registered: UK variant, Brazilian variant, and South African. In addition to the previously identified strain, a novel double mutant strain of SARS-CoV has also been found in India. Indian Health Ministry recently released data on the genome sequencing of 10,787 samples, in which UK variant was 95%, African was 4%, and Brazil was 1 or 2. Double mutation was also detected in Maharashtra. Uh, Now it has changed to the age. Younger patients are not only affected, but they also need to be admitted to the intensive care. What has changed this time in the second wave? One more thing is evading the RT-PCR. Means the RT-PCR test is not efficient. It most of the time comes negative. Enhanced thrombotic disorders. Thrombotic disorder are becoming more common in comparison to the cases in the 2020. There could be several thrombotic incidents. So we should be vigilant and we should look for a pulmonary thrombolism also. high social class is more profoundly affected. Now, upper socioeconomic strata are affected rather than lower socioeconomic strata. This is an observational study. It has been seen that now it has not in the slum, it is in the high-rise buildings. Fatality also increase, although there would be an absence of comorbid condition, serious illness and death may occur. It is possible to the deterioration will happen quickly. Deterioration happens very quickly. In addition, the strain seems to be more virulent because it doesn't this time around. That's the observation study. Admission to the intensive care unit and death in this unit are reliably measure of mortality. And CT lesion, CT scan, CT chest lesion. The worrying thing is that the percentage of cases with CT lesion is much higher this time. The CT lesion tend to be more diffuse, indicative of the acute respiratory distress syndrome than during the first peak. Means first peak there was a CT lesion was comparatively less. Now it has been increased, and this new variant are more dangerous compared to the original. Uh, See, because of this incomplete, I cannot read it properly. Diagnosis. Now the diagnosis. Sorry, diagnosis. Now, how would you know if you have a case like this, where the clinical suspicion is elevated and RT-PCR negative? So, by clinical manifestation, there are serum markers like CRP, LDH, D-dimer, and the chest computerized tomography should be used for the diagnosis. Why the timing is important? The identifying the first day of illness when the patient begins to feel unwell is critical in the COVID management process. The infection is more contagious, and 1 day before and 3 to 4 days after the first symptom, the patient is expected to have high fever for first 2 to 3 days due to virus high replication in the body. But at this stage, innate immunity means our innate immunity in the form of macrophages, neutrophil, and other cells begin to raise a response against the virus invasion. Okay, I will skip some of the things because it is not going properly. Manish, Manish,
Hello.
I think it is
Yes,
because of
sir.
this. I can't read it properly. Now I think I have
Mm-hmm.
finished the topic. Any question somebody want to ask? We'll keep for 5 minutes for that.
Yes, sir. So, thank you so much, sir. First of all, thank you so much for your valuable time and giving us your valuable time and giving us this valuable session, sir. And sir, we can wait for the 1 or 2 minutes. If any attendees have any question, they will ask.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I want to read about the second wave, but because of the slides were not made by me properly, so I can't read it properly. Manish, Manish,
अभी वो दवा
Hello?
बता देंगे वो
Yes,
ट्राई
sir.
करेंगे
Sir, we have a one question we received in the chat box.
ठीक है मैं साइड में लगा
uh,
के भेजता हूँ आगे
Raghav Matre, na?
Yes, sir.
What he has asked is specific suggestion for COPD patient during second wave. See, the second wave is a very unpredictable because the symptoms are not means sometimes it is a GIT, sometimes it is because we cannot do. So the person first very important thing is should not go because he may be a aged person. So he should not go outside and take the precaution like wearing a mask, distancing the people, washing the hands, which is very important, and eating nutritious diet. Because unless and until you do some exercises at the home, like walking, वगैरह, but as such, monitor your this thing, peak flow meter. When there is any suppose infection or something like that, take medical advice early because you should not wait for some time. This condition is very fast because the wave, these variants are very bad. They have reduced their cycles and they are going to be very uh, bad for us. So anything which changes your routine pattern is not good because already you are a if that person whoever is a COPD patient, he should take a lot of precaution. Taking a don't take any cold things, hot water, little warm water you should take, and doing the regular exercise, taking regular medicine is very important. Anything else, Manish?
No, sir. We didn't receive any further question.
Okay.
Yeah. So thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time and this very informative
Thank you
session,
for
sir.
giving me opportunity to have a session like this. And do one thing, send some photos because I'm not getting anything from you. Huh? Okay, some photos should be there.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
And some good people are there, Bhimrao वगैरह.